All right, here we go. Another day, another beef, some more drama. Now, apparently, fans are assuming or feeling like Nicki Minaj is either throwing shots at Ice Spice and or Megan Thee Stallion, or both. So she went on Station Head the other day, and Nicki Minaj talked about users. And you guys, if you know Nicki Minaj, you know Nicki Minaj is going to talk in code. But if you know her well enough and you watch the energy, you can kind of decode what's going on. The only thing is, when it comes to this stuff, when the beefs or the shade is really, really early on, it's almost at this point where, they try to deny it until they can undeniably, until they have to undeniably address it. You know what I mean? Like, for the longest time, people try to deny beefs. And I'll let you guys know a key way to deny, a key way to pay attention to beefs. Like, you got to pay attention to interactions, because people can get online and talk in these circles and not say names. But if people are not interacting on very pivotal moments, i.e. sharing music, and they used to do that before, or shout outs, or social media engagement becomes extremely low, far distant, or not at all, then usually there's something to that. And there's usually, okay, well, even if we're going to still follow each other, we don't fool with each other like we used to. For a while ago, it used to be this idea of like people just unfollow. People now have caught on to that. They're like, okay, well, we'll follow each other, but we'll mute. You know what I mean? So a person following someone doesn't really have any merit anymore, because people will keep the follow, just hit the mute button, just because they know it's going to be a big deal on social media, because there's people like you and I that are combing through follows all day long. And so if you unfollow somebody, that's an immediate indication that there's a problem. So now a lot of these celebrities and artists have gotten wind to that, and I've done it too. Like, I'll still follow people still follow me that I don't fool with, they don't fool me, but you just don't ever see any engagement. It doesn't get until it's come to a complete head and they don't care, or they want it to know, like, listen, I want people to know that I don't fool with this person anymore, so I'm gonna unfollow them. At that point, usually the beef is about to really get spicy because they don't care anymore. Now, so that's a great indication to know, like, are people still engaging like they used to? Because typically you can see people, singing each other's praises, engaging and retweeting and sharing. When music comes out, they're there. Birthday parties, they shout each other out. If you don't see a lot of that happening when it used to happen before, that's a pretty good indication that something is not right, because people are not going to go out of their way to support or show love to someone that they don't like. They will go out of their way to try to convince you that they do like somebody, or they'll keep the follow, but they're not going to go and share someone's music or big somebody up in a performance or retweet their post or engage with them on social media if they really don't like them. But they'll play the politic game of, I don't have no beef with nobody, or I still follow this person. But that has no merit anymore. A person's actions can show you if they're beefing or not. So that's kind of usually how I gauge it. Now, here we are with Nicki Minaj on Station Head, and this is what she had to say. Let's see.
We only fuck with the best. Now, one thing about users is that they don't stop being users. They stop using that person and they go on to another and another. And when they find themselves one day in that quicksand, I would best believe they'll look like an ugly mess, first of all. They're rather strange, actually. Um, you see, bloodsuckers die after sucking all that blood. Or someone just chops their head right clean off. But users, they don't necessarily Ever stop being a user? They were born a user, they'll die a user. The only thing that changes is who they use. Here at Gag City.
So, well, it's very clear that, that she felt like Megan Thee Stallion was a user. So I think that that definitely applies to Megan Thee Stallion when it comes from Nicki Minaj. So that's clear. To having to keep addressing that after putting out Bigfoot and Megan hasn't responded, it's kind of like, well, why is Nicki even talking about this? Because this wasn't, this latest record wasn't Megan Thee Stallion's record. It was Glorilla's record. Glorilla wanted Megan Thee Stallion on the record. She did the record. So I'm trying to figure out what would prompt Nicki Minaj to go on and call Megan Thee Stallion a user again. You know what I'm saying? But she could. But we already know that she feels that Megan Thee Stallion is a user. But what prompted this? You know what I'm saying? So this is what leads me to Ice Spice. And people were saying Ice Spice. People were saying Ice Spice. Now, Nicki responded like, don't put me in drama. I didn't say any names. So that reaction so quickly was kind of like, all right, I don't want people to just be putting out Ice Spice. Said she doesn't want people to realize that she was talking about Ice Spice. But I personally feel like there is a little bit of an Ice Spice thing there with her being called a user, because you got to think she did 2 records with Ice Spice. She gave Ice Spice 2 looks. She gave her 2 videos as well. And like I told you before, something in the milk hasn't been clean there. Ice Spice, she was calling Ice Spice the princess. She was, and Ice Spice, typically, randomly posts pictures of Nicki Minaj, and then she'll do these things when she's, trying to release a new song, because she'll try to grab the fan base back in, and it's randomly she just shows support for Nicki, but then you see Ice Spice over a Cardi B, and then sometimes she's not engaging with Nicki, and then she's secretly taking pictures with a Cardi B, and Cardi B kind of punked her into posting a picture because Ice Spice was trying to be cute, and Cardi B kind of played her like, girl, post that picture that you took with me. So I think for a while, I've been hearing, in the camp with Ice Spice's management team and Nicki Minaj, they haven't been seeing eye to eye either on publishing or residuals, money, something like that has not been clear. It's like something in the business that has kind of made the relationship shaky. I don't know if it's necessarily Ice Spice directly, but it could be Ice Spice and her team. And unfortunately, Ice Spice's team is a reflection of her. And so at this point, you can tell Nicki Minaj has pulled away from Ice Spice. She does not engage. She does not support. She doesn't like. And so a real person would say, how do you go from 2 music videos, super fanning, super tweeting, deeming her the princess, engaging with her, to going radio silent? You're not shading her. You still follow her. Ice Spice will, try to throw Nicki a bone here and there. Nicki says nothing. Something is not right about that. How do you just go radio silent on a person that you collaborated with multiple times and had some of your biggest records with from the past year? That doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And then you look at Ice Spice. You're on tour with Doja Cat. You're over here with Cardi B. Very mixy. Now, we know Doja Cat is a throw the rock, hide her hand, shading you in the records, but then not shading you. Same thing. Doja Cat, it went radio silent. They got that #1 record. Nicki Minaj pretty much let us know that Doja Cat was supposed to be on the record. Doja Cat declined it, said she didn't think she liked her. Doja Cat's been throwing subtle shade, but we see no more Doja Cat Nicki Minaj interaction. 2 albums have came out since then. Nicki has not gotten on Doja's album. Doja's not on Nicki's album. What happened there? Nicki unfollowed Doja. Doja unfollowed her at one point. So we're not dumb here. I personally feel like Nicki feels like all of these girls are users. That's for Ice Spice. That's for Doja Cat. And that's for Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion is a clear one. Doja Cat is kind of blurry. Ice Spice is even more blurry because people just haven't read the context clues. But it's something there to that. I don't care what nobody says. She does not fully fool with Ice Spice. And Ice Spice knows it. But Ice Spice is still trying to keep the relationship because Ice Spice is being strategic because Ice Spice needs the fan base. And she's jumping around from Cardi B to Megan Thee Stallion. Ice Spice got so mixy and she got a little bit big headed, and I think it was the men behind her pushing her because they got her to a point where she felt like she didn't need anybody and she could do it on her own. And then up and came a Sexy Red, and up and came all these other people, and now Ice Spice is kind of in the middle trying to link herself to the next woman that has a fan base that she can kind of build off of. And neither one of those girls are completely bringing her in because they see that she's kind of like a free agent and is going to go wherever it sticks. But the problem is when they were trying to stick to her, she kind of got a little bit big headed and kind of was trying to pull away and didn't truly pick a side. And unfortunately for the women, it's almost like you got to pick a side even when you shouldn't have to. And so for me, I think this was for Ice Spice as well. And I think it was leading for her first. Could be wrong, but my spidey sense is telling me this was for Ice Spice. Definitely for Megan Thee Stallion. But Ice Spice is now in that box. For me. Just because if you pay attention to how everything is landed, it only makes sense that it is her. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And listen, if there is some tea there, I know Ice Spice is not ready to go toe-to-toe with Nicki Minaj, and I don't want to see Nicki go toe-to-toe with Ice Spice. That's just a wash. Ice Spice is not even at the level to where she could even compete like that. I think for Ice Spice, she's probably more hurt that it happened, but I think she was young and trying to navigate this space, and she got super, super famous, and she had cocky men around her pushing her in these different directions because, you know, she was getting all these viral looks, and they just didn't strategize as much as they thought that they were good strategists. They didn't strategize in the right way. And so now Ice Spice is kind of being left out to kind of fend for herself. And she's unfortunately showed her hand. And so neither Cardi B nor Nicki Minaj is really having the doors completely open. It's there playing nice, but it's like, girl, you're done. And I'm going to tell you this. I feel like Nicki Minaj, after that BET Awards, when Lil Uzi and Ice Spice was sitting next to each other and JT threw the phone and it was all that stuff. Nicki got on the phone with JT. JT ended up at her house. Remember, and then JT and Ice Spice was throwing shade at each other, calling each other the princess. They were going back and forth for who the princess was. Nicki and JT got locked in at that very moment, even closer. And that was the end of Ice Spice and Nicki. You know, I feel like there was a conversation there. And ever since that moment, JT has been locked in with Nicki Minaj, and we have not seen any more Ice Spice. And I don't think that we will. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you agreeing with this theory? Do you not see it? I'd be interested to know. And until next time, keep that same energy. We'll see you soon. Peace out.